ātura, mai te maunga tapu o Hikurangi, ka taia ki te maunga tapu o Puketapu. Tēnei tātou i waenga nui, ko ngā hapori, ko ngā whanaunga. Ko tātou tonu tēnei pupuri nei ki te mauri tapu o te whenua e ki nei, o te moana e ki nei, ko te Tairāwhiti. Ka te rā nau mai, haere mai koutou ki ngai tāwhiri, ngai te kete. Ki roto ki te kete koko uri, o longo whakata, o te rei o ngā iwi o Turanganui a kiwa e mihi atu nei ki o koutou tēnei rā. Nau mai haere mai rā, ki te hui a iwi, e pāne ki te tātou tarati, ka mihi ki a ratau, ka mihi hoki ki a tātou. Ko te wawata laia, kia mahi tahi tātou. Ko e nā te tikanga, kia mahi tahi tātou tēnei wā. Tuarua, ma te mahi tahi ka ea e ngā wawata, mo a tātou tamariki mokopuna kei te hanake mai. Ko ngā lā mokopuna apopo, kua tainoa mai ki tēnei rā. Nō reira kia kahala tātou ki te whakaaro ake, ki a tātou tamariki mokopuna, ki ngā kaupapa kai mua i a tātou, mena ka huri whakamuri, anga whakamua i runga i tā tātou e mohio ai, a rā ke te huarai ki tā rā, e whitiana, e ki ai te urunga tū, te urunga pai. Te urunga mā tike, te urunga mā langalanga, te pōhakune mai, ko tō aro i te huri mai, ko tōku aro i te huri atu, taki nā kuau, taki nā kua koe, tukura mā huki, ko koe, ko tātou, e pupuri nei ki te mauri o te rā, e whitiana, tēnā koutou huri noa, kia ora tātou katoa. Yeah, thank you. You can say kia ora if you like right now. Thank you so much. Well done to the All Blacks in the other day. Yeah, they're also supported by Trust Tairāwhiti people. Yeah, all good. Ka pai, ka tuku nā te rākau ki tā tātou rākau kōrero mo te rānei. Ki taku i rā mutu. Hoi anō, huri noi tō tātou whare. Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou katoa. Nau mā hara mai ki te AGM o Trust Tairāwhiti. Ko ai ahau, ko Doug Jones ahau, ko ai te kai hautu o tēnei tarati. Me mihi hoki ki a koe te pāpati, e taki karakia mō tātou i tēnei ahi pō. Nau mai, whakatau mai ki tēnei o ngā hui. Welcome everybody to this, our AGM this year. On behalf of our trustees and our team, welcome to the AGM for 2026. Before we get into it, health and safety and a little bit of housekeeping. So the bathrooms are located in the hallway, just outside the Mana Moana Lounge. In terms of an evacuation, if you hear a siren or an alarm, our evacuation point is either down these stairs here or through the stairs here, and we meet outside the main car park. And there's a muster point just there. If higher ground is required, it says walk to Awapuni Road and continue further into the hills as far as you can, as fast as you can. So these are great health and safety instructions. Also, just please be aware tonight's session is being recorded and it's being live streamed. So welcome to those who are joining us via live stream. And if you happen to want to ask a question or say something, don't be alarmed if someone shoves a microphone in front of your mouth. So let's get into it. Tonight is an opportunity to report back to our beneficiaries, reflect on the past year, and hear from our community. The work we will share tonight reflects three connected roles as the Regional Community Trust, as the Economic Development Agency, and the Regional Tourism Organisation. It also reflects the strength of our partnerships with community, with iwi, hapu, government, and our commercial entities. I'd like to introduce our trustees over here on my left. They've got name tags. Many of them are pretty famous. But special mention to John Ray, our chair, who was appointed to the trust in June. I'd also like to acknowledge the Eastland Port CEO, Andrew Gaddam, and Eastern Generation CEO, Alice Pettigrew, but also the chairs. I've seen Mātānuku here for Eastland Generation. Wendy is in the crowd. Here she is for Eastland Port. But also our partners, Obayashi. I see Yukio has arrived. Yukio Mashimo and our team from Obayashi, so nau mai hara mai. Also want to acknowledge our our former trustee, David Batten, who's also in the room. Nau mai hoki mai, good to see you. But now we will move to the formalities of the AGM. In terms of apologies, we've received the following apologies. Ian Parker, Chair of Eastern Rescue Helicopter Trust, Dr. Jill Crisp, Hamish Bell and Andre Lovett from the Eastland Infrastructure Limited, Amber and Mike Clark from Touchwood Fishing, Gavin Murphy, Dana Kirkpatrick, our local MP, and Dan Jex-Blake, who's one of our trustees and is online. Are there any other apologies? Harata Gibson from Ngāti Onione. So we've got Aubrey Ria, Rhonda Tibble, and Rawania Parata. Ka pai. Any other apologies? Ka pai. Do we need to move and second those? Yeah. Move. Red moves. Yeah. Warren seconds. All in favour say aye. Ka pai. Let's go. In terms of the minutes were provided online on the 31st, I think, of July. And so we'll take those as read. And the proposed motion is that the 2025 minutes from the AGM of Trust Tairāwhiti be received and confirmed as a true and accurate record. Mā Tānuku and Debbie. Ka pai. All in favour? Aye. Ka pai. Carried. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? 3, 2, 1. No. Ka pai. Let's get on with it. Pace, eh? It's all that pace. It's how the All Blacks are playing too. Ka pai. And yeah, we got Richie Mounga over there, so they listen to us. Our strategic framework. Before we look back on the year, it's always important to briefly revisit our strategy that guides our work te aka rautaki ki te tau rua te kaumā iwa. Our foundation remains the two purposes of the trust deed: to preserve the capital for future generations and to provide for the people of Tairāwhiti today. He rangi tapu he tohu ora helps us apply those purposes through the principles of equity, sustainability and integrity. Operationally, we have functions to deliver on this through community development, economic development and investing. The way we work, actually I better use this thing. I'll leave it to you, Grace. The way we work, the Trust delivers its mahi through 3 ways. We enable others through grant funding. We invest in economic opportunities, and we deliver through targeted operations. The majority of that is through our Economic Development Agency and Regional Tourism Organisation responsibilities. And so now I'll report back on our focuses for the year. Firstly, we want to acknowledge Ngāti Onione and the kawinata between Ngāti Onione and Trust Tairāwhiti. This time a year ago, we marked a significant milestone in signing a kawinata. And following that was the formal transfer of several titles on Hirini Street and the release of the kawinata, a statement of intent that outlines the shared aspirations and commitments between the Trust and the hapu. The kawinata acknowledges Ngāti Onione whakapapa to the port area and establishes a foundation for working together to deliver outcomes that benefit the wider community. In terms of enabling communities, through our funding programs, the Trust granted $8.8 million to nearly 100 organisations. That was inclusive of major facilities, grassroots projects supporting health, education, whānau environmental outcomes. Just over 150,000 went out through feasibility funding, which supports research to test the viability of projects that could bring economic and community benefit. A further 100,000 went out through our regional events fund, backing events that attract visitors to Tairāwhiti to stimulate economic activity. Our aim is not to prescribe solutions. It is to back the community, to lead and determine the pathways that work for them. Community facilities was a significant investment for the Trust, and we had several Trust-funded community facility projects that came to fruition this year. Victoria Domain was redeveloped into a multi-purpose sports hub that was for netball, tennis, pickleball, and basketball. This was a record investment for the Trust. Having seen the numbers of people utilising this facility, we know it's delivering real impact for our community. Te Whare Waka o Māreikura opened at Anzac Park. It was a long-awaited permanent home for the Māreikura Wakaama Club. We also celebrated the opening of the John Hakel Grandstand just recently at Rugby Park, and we look forward to a new grandstand at Whakarua Park in Ruatoria. These are long-term assets for our community that will support not only sports participation but connection and well-being for many years. I think important context is that the Trust committed $15 million over 5 years ago to a number of projects, and we've now seen the end of those commitments. Our Women's Native Tree Project, we would like to highlight some of these smaller local trusts that are doing the hard mahi. And the Women's Native Tree Project Trust is restoring the whenua and then supporting environmental education through their important mahi. Over the last 3 years, they've provided more than 20,000 native plants to local marae, kura, and community groups for planting projects. Our team at Trust Tairāwhiti was fortunate enough to volunteer with this group earlier this year and can vouch for the rewarding mahi, even in the rain, pulling weeds in the bush, but they are delivering for our communities. So hand on heart, we can say they're doing a great job. Supergrands, they continue to expand their impact across the Tairāwhiti, providing financial mentoring, social work support, kai assistance, but most importantly, life skills for programs for whānau across the Tairāwhiti. There's a huge need for their services, and last year they supported 10,800 people with kai assistance. Slash for Cash is a true blue East Coast innovation, turning woody debris into employment and environmental outcomes. The team used mobile carbonisation kilns to convert slash into biochar fertilisers, and smokeless briquettes. That's right. Once at full capacity, the operation is expected to process up to 4,320 tonnes of slash per year. And this particular project stretches across the coast and even down into Wairoa. The Uawa Laundromat. The new laundromat in Tolaga Bay is improving access to laundry services for East Coast communities, while leading the way in sustainable community infrastructure with a wetland system and an on-site nursery. The Uawa Laundromat is a great example of local people coming up with local solutions. This one was led by Te Tairāwhiti Centre of Excellence, and the Trust is proud to support it. The State of Wellbeing Tairāwhiti report. This year marked an important step in our wellbeing journey. With the release of the first State of Wellbeing report, it brings together 4 years of data to show how people are experiencing life across our region and how those experiences are changing over time. This report, alongside the annual data, gives the Trust and the wider region stronger evidence base for investment, advocacy and planning. It helps us direct resources to where the real needs are, rather than relying on assumptions. We'll flick over to just a few of the highlights and lowlights of the data that we're seeing. What's going well? Whānau are actually starting to pay some of their bills on time. So we've seen an 8% increase over that sort of 4-year period. And that number there is actually 79% of our community can pay their bills on time. Life satisfaction has gone up by 7% to 72%, and general health has also increased from 74% to 82%, so an 8% increase. However, we always like to look at the things that we need to spend some attention on. We can celebrate the wins, but there's plenty more work to do. So what do we need to do? Pride in Tairāwhiti is at its lowest point. It's down to 31% of all people that took the survey have pride in our place. That's significant. We've had an 11% drop since the start of this survey to where we are today in terms of a good place for business. So that sits at 17%. And lastly, a 14% drop in terms of how attractive our region is for young people. Now, this is hugely important when you think about the macro context of the region. By 2040, the population, as we understand it to be, more than 50% of the population will be under the age of 26. So young people. All of the kids that are running around all the sports fields right now, they're the ones who are going to be leading this future. So it's really, really important that we start to look at how do we get pride of place, because if they're not proud of their place, they're not going to come home. They're not going to go away and they're not going to come home. So we need to work on that. And we need to make it attractive to young people and the work in particular, especially around a good place for business as an area that we want to commit ourselves to. Mahi kaitiaki. Mahi kaitiaki is about preserving our resources and building resilience for future generations. This year's work included renewable energy projects, water security, food production, and initiatives that support a more resilient use of whenua. One of our marquee projects for the year has been our marae solar project. 22 marae across the rohe were equipped with solar energy systems to support day-to-day operations and strengthen resilience during emergencies. And we've seen this firsthand, that those have been turned on when the need has been high. The project installed 795 solar panels and batteries with systems expected to generate around 424 megawatt hours of renewable energy each year. We're currently working on Marae Solar 2.0, involving another 12 marae. So that would take that number to 34. I can hear Ords telling me it's up to 12 marae. I'm sure we'll find someone to fill the gap. But this is a great example of community, iwi, local and central government and funding partners working together to deliver practical resilience. And I think we've got a short video to show right now.
Resilience for us at Tairāwhiti Marae, when it comes to power, is our ability to continue to deliver and operate as a refuge for our people. We've been confronted too many times with these adverse weather events, so we know what it's like not to have power. It hinders our ability as a people to continue to tautoko our community. So when it fails, it's not just one thing that fails, there's multiple things that start to happen. For example, the power powers our generators that pushes the water around that we use to wash our faces, use our toilets and things like that. So when we don't have it, our capability to be able to remain resilient is severely impacted. We had to be delivering to our community, that's a big one. And Tairāwhiti's always been the focal point of the Uawa community, so it's natural that we be involved in this particular project. Our ultimate dream is to be able to get off grid, and that's using multiple means, ultimately with solar, wind. We get a lot of wind, so it would be silly not to utilise that. It'll help us to reduce our outgoings, that's a big one. Not in a significant manner, but It's a way that we can step ourselves forward to become more resilient, where we're not so much reliant on the grid. But in the interim between now and when we see ourselves in the future, is our ability to grow and look at sharing what credits we can get from here with people in our community, like our kaumātua, because the marae oversees our kaumātua flats. So if we can continue to tautoko our people, our vulnerable people through this project, then mauri ora ki a ngai tātou nei.
The trustees, we want to really thank Tairāwhiti for making this possible. And I'm sure every other marae that was mentioned all appreciate what's going on. We know that the weather events aren't going to stop. They're going to be continuing. So however we can maintain resilience on the coast, we're in for it. So I look forward to the next project.
Kia ora, Chris. Yeah, we better pay you a fee, for that. Ka pai. Moving on. Water for the economy. Water has been identified as one of the region's most significant long-term economic opportunities. It's a key pillar of the Tairāwhiti economic plan. The Trust commissioned an assessment which showed that improved access to irrigation water could support higher value land use, strengthen horticulture, and provide a meaningful lift in regional GDP. During the year, we supported some feasibility work off the back of this report for 3 significant water projects. The Trust's role at this stage is to help build the evidence, partnerships, and support the investment cases needed to move credible opportunities forward. And as you can see, what the report highlighted is that only 10% of our land is currently irrigated. That means there's 90% opportunity if we were to get the right water storage. That represents $4.9 billion of extra value to our region. And I know there's a couple of people, we'll just notice Willie at the back there, Tūranga Fast 5 are one of the early adopters of that. And so just want to acknowledge that there are people doing good mahi in this space. Fostering innovation. Just continuing in our economic development space, supporting businesses remains a core priority for the Trust, while economic conditions have continued to be extremely difficult. This year, our business growth advisors have supported 214 local businesses. That includes 74 local Māori businesses, which represents around 34, just under 35%. And you'll notice that number in our key performance indicators at the back of your annual report if you haven't read it yet. And 58 businesses have accessed co-funding for upskilling. So even in tough economic times, 58 businesses have dipped into their own pockets alongside the Trust to see if they can improve their business models and improve themselves. AI workshops. Just want to acknowledge Simeon Alford, who has helped the Trust in terms of delivering these workshops. It has been a new focus area for our economic development team around practical AI capability. We launched this new program to help local businesses use AI to save time, solve problems, and unlock new opportunities. The emphasis was on real tasks, including admin, content, analysis, and process improvements. The workshops form a broader focus on working with local businesses to adapt, innovate, and remain competitive. Research and innovation. As the local lead for MB's innovation services, we helped 7 local businesses secure a combined 81,000 of student grants and support R&D projects. A further 28 businesses also received support through grants, technical expertise, and R&D partners. One of these businesses, Alchemy Gisborne, I think I've seen the guys here tonight, identified an opportunity to unlock value from second grade finger limes. And that's what that little picture is there, some finger limes being squeezed out. The funding enabled food technologists and process automation experts to develop a prototype machine capable of extracting the fruit's highly sought after pearls. So it's one little pocket of innovation that's happening right under our noses. Local wood processing. Over the last 6 years, the Trust has made significant direct investment into the prime SPV wood processing cluster. The long-term intention is to capture more value from the forestry resource we have here in Tairāwhiti. We want to support more value-add activity in the region, create more highly paid jobs, and build a strong local wood processing industry. This sector intervention also helps diversify the types of products moving through the port and strengthens the resilience of our export economy. This site has created or retained 89 FTE in region and attracted another $90 million of co-investment. Enhancing our place is really about our responsibility as a regional tourism organisation and helps position Tairāwhiti as a culturally rich, vibrant and connected destination and supports the businesses that make up our visitor economy. I might need a drink. Fumbling. During the year, we led destination marketing like Come See Why 2.0 and partnerships with Neat Places and Rhythm and Vines. Tourism operator capability development was a focus, as well as trade engagement and product development. We put a bit of money into the eyesight. It was looking a bit tired. And so we gave it a bit of a makeover so that we were aligned with the Visitor Information Network. There's more than 90,000 people that walk through those doors every year. So it is very much a community asset. And just want to acknowledge our eyesight team who are here tonight, who do an awesome job for us, supporting not only visitors, but actually mostly our community. They're also pretty good at selling local products, so if you've got something to sell, go see them. Through our Regional Events Fund, we supported 6 events with a combined $100,000 in marketing to attract more visitors to the region. Attracting and supporting a diverse portfolio of visitor attracting events has been another priority for the team. And that work continues this year as we develop a new regional events strategy. I suppose, it's probably timely to call out, Rhythm and Vines and them having their last concert or last event here in region. So make sure you buy some tickets and invite friends for that. But ultimately, what we're seeing through these, at least these half a dozen events, a small injection or a little bit of support attracts a couple of $1 million per event, and around about 1,000 to up to 3,500 visitors, depending on the event. Those 5 or 6 events actually outperform Rhythm and Vines for that short period. So the more of these sort of smaller, regular events that happen is actually better for the region. We like the sugar hits, but actually the consistency is what supports our accommodation and hospitality providers. City Centre has been a big focus for the Trust this year, and we continue to work alongside the Council to support the revitalisation of our City Centre. Over the past year, the Trust has funded a council-led initiative, Art in the City, and the Heritage Facade Fund, helping bring more character and vibrancy to the city. More broadly though, our roles as the EDA and RTO, we're continuing to assess opportunities that can attract investment, support local businesses, and create a more appealing city centre. Council has been engaging with the community about options for the city centre very recently, and those insights will be important in shaping where the Trust can add the greatest value and where future investment can have the strongest impact. I think we're getting to the end. The Waiweka Gorge closure report we know the impact, we actually truly know the impact of those closures now. And from a destination point of view, to have an appealing destination and a resilient economy, it's essential that we have core infrastructure to support it. Repeated closures of the Waiweka Gorge highlighted how dependent our region is on reliable transport connections. So the Trust commissioned a report to understand the economic impact, to quantify the effects on freight, staffing, production, tourism, and business confidence. The assessment found an estimated $190 million in annual tradable GDP is exposed to disruption anytime that road closes. Additional travel costs were estimated to be close to $500,000 a day for our businesses, and another $500,000 per day in road-dependent tradable GDP was disrupted. Visitor spending over that period in January to February was down $1.71 million in a 6-week period. That was the peak season for our tourism providers, and they took a significant hit. I mean, it helped. I mean, there was a collective effort, council, local MPs, there was a significant collective effort. Iwi, yeah, it's just helpful to have evidence to support the advocacy that the whole region is doing for the Waiweka Gorge. Yeah. But it just strengthens the Trust's advocacy for long-term government investment and resilient state highway access, and supports quite a few of the businesses in this room who have been advocating for that for a very long time. In terms of trust fund preservation, the Trust must balance investment in today's communities and the economy with a responsibility to preserve capital for future generations. So we've got to provide for the community, but we also have to preserve. That's the purpose of the Trust. It's about striking the right balance. So the portfolio has grown significantly over the last 33 years, while also enabling the Trust to support projects and initiatives that provide outcomes under He Rangitapu He Tohu Ora. As at the 31st of March this year, Trust equity was at $655 million. It was up 29 million from last year. That's the breakdown of that asset base. And it is diversified across Tairāwhiti Investments Limited, who aren't here tonight, but through managed funds and our regional impact investments. The managed portfolio, I just want to acknowledge Craig's who are in the room tonight as well, representing 20% of the Trust equity, returned 7% despite the global market volatility. Tairāwhiti Investments represents 75% of the Trust equity and is made up of our holdings within the Eastland Port and 50% of Eastland Generation. And overall, Tairāwhiti Investments returned 4% for the year. I think it's also important as context, only 5 years ago, the Trust held debt or liabilities of over $500 million. And that got paid down over the time through the sale of the network and then the ultimate capital raise, which brought Obayashi in as our partners. That wedge looked more like 90%, well, it was 90% in terms of those assets and only 10% holding in Trust. So we're slowly moving that wedge and that donut, as we call it at Trust Tairāwhiti, and making hopefully the pie, those bits of the pie or the wedge bigger. In terms of our financial statements, we're going to rush through this because everyone loves the financial statements, especially Lyle. I can see you there, Lyle. But the Trust Group recorded a total revenue of $61.6 million and an operating surplus of $14.4 million. The net surplus after tax was $12.9 million, and after distributions to beneficiaries, the surplus was $4.1 million. Total comprehensive revenue was $29.4 million, contributing to the increase in Trust equity to $655 million. Like I say, I'm sure many of you love to read the financial reports. We're not going to go through them page by page, but those that are passionate about it, I'm sure you're going to ask me some questions. And just to wrap up, Tairāwhiti Investments, over this year, the Trust has worked with the directors on a strategic review of Tairāwhiti Investments. Ultimately, we want to become more of an active owner. Core objectives of this is about future-focused stewardship of regionally important infrastructure assets, strong alignment with and support of regional aspirations and plans, prudent management of our investments with an efficient capital structure, as well as delivering sustainable dividends to the Trust. Those are the core objectives that we want to focus on. I've talked to these strong financial returns for Tairāwhiti Investments, but they currently hold 489 million of that donut or that pie that we saw earlier, but $19.7 million of profit, 12 million of distributions from Tairāwhiti Investments to the Trust, which we then pass out to the community through how we do our mahi. But ultimately, if you look at the group from when this started in 1993, we've had 12.5% compound growth over that time. So there's a few individuals in this room who have significantly contributed to the success of the Trust as a group over that time, and so just want to acknowledge them in the room. Some key metrics, and I won't get Andrew or Alice to get up here for these, but 2.8 million tonnes of product was exported across the port this year. We had 195,000 passengers through the Gisborne Airport, and 583 gigawatts of renewable energy has been generated. So the volumes are up for the logs compared to the previous year. Gisborne Airport proved itself as an essential link with the Waiaweka Gorge being closed earlier this year, and the multiple weather events that we've had. Eastland Generation's newest geothermal plant, Top 2, came online earlier this year, and that was a significant milestone for the group. Actually, Eastland Generation are now generating the equivalent of 3.7% of the national electricity demand. So I think, you know, we should acknowledge that and just acknowledge Alice and the team at Eastland Generation. Told you I'd pump you up. For the port, I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of Andrew, but I'll carry on, bro. All right. The Twin Berth project represents the port's biggest infrastructure upgrades in a century. Twin Berth is about improving the resilience of Tairāwhiti and supporting economic growth. It provides more flexibility and efficiency for local exporters, including horticulture, agriculture, and forestry industry, as well as cruise ship operators. The completed infrastructure provides 90% of the initially scoped operational facilities and flexibility at a fraction of the original proposed cost. Big acknowledgements to iwi, hapu, and the wider community who were consulted with, engaged with, supported, and provided feedback throughout this consenting process. Eastland Port is also partnering with Oceania Wood Pellets to support the development and consenting of a proposed wood pellet manufacturing plant in Tairāwhiti. This will provide a valuable use for woody debris and lower grade forestry material, delivering regional jobs, renewable energy production, and future export opportunities through the port. Gisborne Airport expanded its car park. Many of you would have seen that. And that will support higher passenger demand and future growth. With sustainability a key focus, this project also included the installation of a new wetland stormwater treatment system co-designed with Ngāi Tāwhiti. In December, Eastern Generation's newest and largest geothermal power plant, Top 2, synced to the national grid for the first time. Located on the Kawerau geothermal reservoir, Top 2 showcases a unique collaborative model. It was developed with Ngāti Tuwharetoa geothermal assets, who are providing the long-term supply of geothermal fluid to the station and whenua. Tairāwhiti Investments, along with Obayashi Corporation, supported Eastland Generation, completing this project with a capital injection in December 2025. Te Ihi o Te Rā Solar Farm at Gisborne Airport continues to perform well. Leveraging the expertise and learnings from this site, Eastern Generation is working with local landowners and stakeholders to progress plans for 2 more solar farms on the East Coast. These will further strengthen energy security and generation capacity for Tairāwhiti. In terms of our targets, these are our key performance indicators. We'll run through, we're not going to sort of talk to these, but overall, they're in the back of your annual report. So if you really wanted to look at them, you can. But overall, the Trust delivered strongly across its enabling and operational programs. Although not every target was met, there's full stop. Community Fund and Regional Events Fund distributions met their targets, while some feasibility and facility expenditure was delayed into next year. So that was really about timing. You can see our full list of performance measures in the annual report and how we tracked against our targets. That covers off our year in review. I'm now going to hand over to our Chair, John Ray, to share our statement of intent, which is our annual plan for the year ahead, 2026-27, and talk about the year ahead.
Thank you, Doug. Kia ora koutou, and welcome to everybody here on behalf of the board. I'd firstly like to acknowledge the team for doing a huge amount of work this year, and the results that you've heard about today are a testimony to a huge amount of work that's been done. So thank you, Doug, and thank you to the team who are here this evening. Really appreciate it. I'm 40 days in as a director and 13 days as chair. So I'm going to be reasonably brief because I haven't got a huge amount of information I can regale you with. But I think the context is important. So I've been involved in regional governance in this region for, I think 16 years. Feels longer sometimes. And most recently as chair at Gisborne Holdings Limited. I've spent a lot of time putting my shoulder to the Tairāwhiti wheel. I don't live here, but my whānau do, and it's an area that is really critical for New Zealand's regional economic development. And if we can't make it work here, we can't make it work anywhere, to be really honest. So I've been actively involved in it, and my participation and involvement here today is because I've spent a lot of time listening and to the communities and as part of my job with GHL, to stakeholders and to the people of the region. The message that's come through consistently is that while we are suffering from significant problems at the moment and challenges, we also have huge opportunities. And at the heart of the challenge in front of us is how do we work together to solve those challenges. We can't do it on our own. No agency, the council, GHL can't solve these problems alone. So what we need to do is find ways to work together and present a consistent face to government. I also spend a lot of time working in Wellington. I'm the chair of Crown Regional Holdings, which is the regional infrastructure fund provider, and it distributed under the Regional Infrastructure Fund $1.2 billion, and this region missed out on most of that money. And I think as a statement about how we're not presenting ourselves to the world, that's an example that we really need to take stock of and find a way to make ourselves relevant in Wellington in a constructive and positive way. And I've taken on this challenge to try and help with that journey. The other part of that, though, is that I know that there are a whole bunch of opportunities available to us. It's not that hard. What is hard is how we get the region working together. The Trust has led and supported a huge number of initiatives, and you've seen many of them today. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, we need to take stock of where we're at and where we can make the biggest difference. As an organisation, we've grown extensively over the last few years and taken on a range of responsibilities and hats. However, there comes a point where doing more doesn't necessarily mean achieving more. Looking ahead, from my involvement in this business, it's time to pause, review and reflect and work out where we deploy our assets most constructively to give us the biggest bang for buck. We need to make sure we're focused on the work that delivers the greatest impact for the people of Tairāwhiti. We need to be disciplined about where we invest our time and resources. The time is limited. We have a team that is really, really busy doing a lot of stuff, and our resources are limited. While we have a lot of putia, we have to make the most of it because it's a taonga, and it will go if we're not careful with it. That will involve some difficult decisions. It will mean saying yes to the things that matter most and having the courage to say no to things that don't align with our core purpose. And as trustees, that's our prime responsibility. Another priority for me, as you've already heard, is strengthening regional relationships. No organisation can solve the region's challenges alone, whether it's Trust Tairāwhiti, Gisborne Council, GHL, iwi, business, or community organisations. We're all working towards the same outcome, but we're doing it in silos and in an individual basis. We saw in 2016, when the Provincial Growth Fund was available to us, how well we achieved benefit from that fund. We worked together, and we were probably the most impressive region in the country at galvanising support from Wellington, and we need to find a way to do that again. Collectively, we need to adopt a genuine best for region approach. If we're prepared to work together, make courageous decisions and stay focused on what matters most, then we can provide the leadership and our hope that Doug talked about and that our communities are looking for. That's the direction that the board is committed to, and that should come through in the way we delivered on our statement of intent that you have in front of us today, which is this document here. That's all I've got to say. So, as I said, 13 days in, but that's what we'll be doing, taking stock, reflecting, and then pushing harder on the areas that we're making the biggest difference. Kia ora. Oh, I've got to do the exciting stuff now, the motions. Okay, so we have a few resolutions that we have to pass. The first proposed motion is that Trust Tairāwhiti Consolidated Financial Statements and Annual Report for the year ended 31 March 2026 be received and noted. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Lyle. And Michael, thank you very much. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Appointment of auditor. Proposed motion in the interest of efficiency and cost effectiveness, beneficiaries reappoint Deloitte as Trust Tairāwhiti's auditor for the period from the conclusion of this annual meeting until the conclusion of the next annual meeting. Do I have a mover and seconder on that? Thank you, Willie. Any second from Rahit? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against?
Why we can't appoint a local auditor?
We review our audit function periodically, and the board has resolved that we will relook at it again next year. This year, we have, as a board, we've recommended that we go ahead and use the existing auditors who have managed the continuity from Eastland Group to where we are today. But I think the world may look differently when we approach it next year.
Are you saying that we could appoint a local auditor?
No, it's unlikely that we would have ability to appoint a local auditor. As local as it would get, my thought is it would be likely to be a Big Four company in Hawke's Bay. That would be as close to a local auditor as we would. The scale of audit is not insignificant. I'm not yeah. We would love to do that, but I don't think it's practical under the circumstances. Yeah, it may be difficult and expensive, but it's certainly a worthy question. So I appreciate that. The auditor's fee, the remuneration of the auditor of Trust Tairāwhiti for the period from the conclusion of this annual meeting until the conclusion of the next annual meeting be fixed by trustees. Do I have a mover for that? Yep, Rahit, seconded. Colin Alder. Oh, thanks, Ma. Too late, though. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. And finally, the statement of intent for the 26-27 year be received and noted. Do I have a mover? Matanuku moving it? Thank you. Thanks, Chair. Appreciate that. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. And Doug will come and join me up here 13 days in and help answer questions. Thank you. Oh, we've got to do that. So please, if you could raise your hands to ask questions and speak into the microphone so that the live stream can hear. So we can capture it in the minutes. That's what it says. Yeah.
I want to firstly acknowledge Sir Derek for his meeting all of us who have come. I want to acknowledge Warren and the passing of his little brother that we brought home earlier this year, and Kevin and all of our ones that have passed. I want to acknowledge David Batman and the trustees that assisted with the resolution of the long-standing grievance of Ngāti Oneone. So I wanted to acknowledge David and those trustees, Te Pūoho, and those that were a part. I know he's still there. I thought he had stepped down for his Labour role. But acknowledge all of those that participated in that resolution. So I wanted to do that because it was an earlier slide, John, and I wanted to acknowledge that on behalf of Ngāti Oneone. The key issue that I have, John, is in the charitable status of the trust, and my question is when will that be addressed, because I see Horizons has gone through the same process and gone through legislative change to ensure that, so that we can ensure that the assets stay in the community. We can ensure that the people that represent us on this board are appointed by the community rather than the Gisborne District Council. So I wanted to pose that question firstly. The second one I want to say, John, is that I have a different view in relation to investment infrastructure that has taken place in this region. So we may not align with the investment funds that you've been talking about, but that doesn't mean that we haven't been doing a lot of work in the investment space. And so we as iwi and other groups were a part of the bid that was put to the government in May 2024 for $2.4 billion investment in our roading networks of State Highway 2 and State Highway 35. And I am pretty convinced that had that investment taken place, we wouldn't have had the situation we faced in January of this year, when basically all routes out were blocked. And so I just want to say that we have been pitching, firstly, it may not align with what government people making decisions want to invest in, but I'm saying that we did that. Secondly, reiterating that point, is that Minister Bishop will be in town next Friday, and he'll be opening 50 of our houses beside the Gisborne Hospital. And so we worked with the Gisborne District Council to increase the infrastructure going into that area so that we could do our housing developments, and by the end of this year, 150 houses will be completed. That's on top of 75 hectares of horticultural work that will be done across many of our Māori blocks that unfortunately they're $100,000 less in value because they don't have access to water. So we've had to work through that company that was alluded to earlier, Tūranga Wai Māori Limited, which I'm the chair of that. And we have to buy water to do projects like we're doing at the back of Takipu Marae, and we have to look at water storage to ensure that we can participate in the game. So I just wanted to say we're doing a lot. It may not align with what's being done in Wellington and investment decisions, but we are doing a lot. So my first question is around the charity status. The second one is just really noting that point for your consideration, because I have a different view of that.
On the report that was touched on, we have Minister Watts coming into Te Karaka tomorrow, and he'll be opening a 640 kilowatt solar farm that will feed our community out there. So I was impressed by the geothermal investment, but ultimately at the end of the day, what I want for my people is more affordable energy, not a company that produces energy that goes out and it still costs our people the same. And so we want to look at a system by which we can take all of those marae that you've funded in, be able to create a virtual network that gets that energy and the surpluses out to our people, for me, driven by ensuring affordability for our people. So my second point is supporting all the work that's been done, but asking whether or not we can look at that space as well. As you're looking at generation and getting the returns that you're getting, I'm more focused on more affordable energy to my people. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. There's a bit in that. Willie, you're the master of getting money out of Wellington, so let me acknowledge that first and foremost, including the fund that we have been unsuccessful largely as a region of to be able to access, and you've been very good at that. So acknowledge that there's been value in you doing the work, the mahi that you've done for Mahaki, so and others, which I think has been really good. What we haven't been able to do as a region is articulate what our regional priorities are, and that's a different narrative, and it's a different korero that we have to lean into. And we had Minister Willis here this morning saying exactly that. Unless you guys can get your act together, it's going to be very difficult for us to understand what your priorities are. So I don't disagree with you. The work you've done is amazing, and you deserve all the credit for doing that. So no issue with that, and very, very proud of to be able to look at that every time we drive past and read it in the paper. So great mahi. However, the rest of the region has got a challenge in communicating with Wellington, and we have to lean into that in some shape or form. So regardless of individual approaches to Wellington, we have to try and find what that best of region set of priorities is. We've had this debate around the Eastland Community Trust. Michael Muir will look at me around affordable energy as being part of the mission of this trust since day one. And if Winston Morton is here, he is. Winston absolutely has banged on at us about that since day one, and rightly so. And it's a difficult balancing act between providing cheaper energy and then making commercial returns in a regulated market, and then using the benefits to distribute more broadly. And we can't have it both ways. You either subsidise energy or you generate economic returns and redistribute them. Two different models. The model that we are in, and you've seen the curve in the growth of funds, is to build that putia to give us the ability to have optionality around what our future looks like with those funds in due course. It's not the answer you want to hear, but it's not. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. You can't make a commercial return and provide cheap energy. So that's a problem. The course has been largely set. In terms of the charitable trust, it's not a simple thing, right? It's a concept which has been brought to the table several times. Many of us have looked at it in our previous lives at Eastland Group and others, desiring to have the tax effectiveness of a different structure. The charitable trust would be great for that. But wrapped up in the proposal is a degree of complexity around the issue that you raised around who is the ultimate strategy setter for the distribution of the putia, which is currently in the hands of council. Rightly or wrongly, that was what the trust deed says. And the process of getting to a point where that might be changed to a different structure, to the Electoral Commission structure, I don't think is going to be an easy one. I think the community will have a strong view, and we have to have it at the right time. We have to work through the institutional arrangements we have through council to get to that point. And I don't think anyone in this room would disagree with the concept of the outcomes that we want, but how we get there needs to be done carefully. Otherwise, as we have many other times, we get to the last hurdle and then it fails, and we kick it down the road for another 10 years. So I think that's a timing thing, and I don't think it's going to be advanced as quickly as you might hope in the short term, but it doesn't mean it's not a live issue. Certainly the conversations we've had with council are encouraging, but it's going to be a journey. Probably doesn't answer all your questions because I can't remember what the rest were, but was that an honest slash?
It was an honest slash. The key thing for me is I wasn't asking you to subsidise energy to our households. I was asking you to invest in systems where those marae, where Te Kraka and others that are actually creating their own energy can redistribute it on a virtual network. That was the essence of my question. I appreciate what you're saying about the charity status. I want to make it clear, when that Act came out in 1992, I was here and I made submissions on it, and those submissions were either that those shares be distributed to the consumers at that point in time, or Māori had a greater say over the Māori portion that was being supplied. That didn't happen. What happened was the default situation that we face today. And so what I'm trying to advocate for, and I appreciate your response, that the community should decide that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. That option should be put out to the community. I wholeheartedly agree with that, John. What I'm saying is that I don't want to get here next year and hear the same excuses. I hope we can make progress on that over the year. And if the community says, no, what Willie's advocating for a charity and the resource to be owned by the community isn't the pathway, I'll live with that, John.
Ka pai. Well, sorry.
I just wanted to jump on because my not so much questions but recommendations, e rua, and they've been raised tonight, and I think the charities kōrero was one, and I think the pause and reflect is a good kōrero to have. But I would recommend that net be casted wider than just the few people that kind of sit in the middle of these discussions and kind of have input into that process. I think 8 years into the trust model is now's the time for us to pause and reflect as a whole community with a diverse range of different stakeholders having input, into that discussion so that we can get the settings, we can get the leadership, and we can get the vision right. Because it's the issue of kotahitanga and not being able to work together is one of trust. It's in the name. That's the issue that we've got to grapple with, is that there's a trust issue that creates the wehe, and until we can kind of solve that and create space for people to be involved in these discussions, then I think we keep having the same kind of battles at multiple different levels. And so I would recommend that we have some kind of independent review. They need to talk to people beyond the beneficiaries. I think it's easy when you give out money to have really slick presentations and lots of people thanking you, and sometimes it can mask some of the issues that are under the bonnet. And I think now's the opportunity to actually lift that up and just explore some of the issues. It's not finger pointing, it's not a blame game. It's how do we set this up as a platform for transformation. Let's go into 2040 and that bicentenary conversation really clear on what the intergenerational strategy needs to look like for the Tairāwhiti. And this is the preparation time to get our structures and get our institutions prepared for that period. Tuarua, what I would say is key and fundamental, is te hunga rangatahi. And it's been brought up again, and that's my advocacy. Every time I come to these huis, it's the same thing I'll keep calling upon, is when we look at our population, we are the most youthful population anywhere in the country. Currently, it's about 40%, is that 25 and unders. It's going to rise, and we heard it from Doug, to half of the population, and yet we come to these hui and kei whia rātou, they're not in the room, they're not in the discussion. How do we think about the governance of the structure going forward? Perhaps there's 2 dedicated seats for our rangatahi, that they get to be part of the decision-making, kind of tables. How can we think creatively about these different ideas structurally that make sure that we've got the right voices kind of sitting around the same tables? And I don't think it's just the trust. I think it's all our public institutions really thinking quite cleverly about how do we activate that young generation of leadership so that they're sitting at the table, they're advocating for their peer groups based on the realities that they live in. because I think that's fundamentally a key part of the transformation sort of process. And so more investment, I think we spend a lot of money on things. There's a lot of bricks and mortar investment, but where's the human development and the skills part, of growing people? We keep talking about that, and actually, as a group that's in the community, not a beneficiary of this trust, we're working really hard on making sure that those fundamentals are in place, particularly for our young people. Kia ora.
Ka pai. Kia ora, Kane. The first question is probably a conversation with the trustees around what does that review look like, how do you take a wider vision, so I'll park that with them in terms of how to think about that moving forward. The rangatahi aspect, you've challenged us many times, and I think the trust has tried to respond to that proactively. You might not see rangatahi at the table, but ultimately, if you look at the wellbeing survey, over 1,000 respondents, a significant proportion of those responses are from rangatahi. We yesterday, or last week actually, we hosted, rangatahi is a big concern. We had a dedicated fund for rangatahi. On that decision-making panel, with 4 or 5 rangatahi supporting us in terms of making those decisions around where we shouldn't be investing to uplift and make transformational change for rangatahi. So little examples, not profiling them as much as we should be, a lot more work to do. But at least we're trying our hardest to sort of get the rangatahi voice inside our organisation and within our decision making. The other little point, we've got an intern with us at the moment this year from EIT. We are running an internship program within Trust Tairāwhiti to support local rangatahi to come and work and experience with Trust. We also are supporting the Mātai internship, who I understand have around 15 interns. So, there's all little bits and pieces. The challenge here is how do we get coordinated, how do we bring it all together, and how do we talk and engage better with rangatahi, but with ourselves too, to create the space for them. So acknowledge the point. Yeah.
So can I just one other point that I think you guys need to just understand. This fund's been in place since 1993, 94, I think, is that right? So we're 43 years in. It's a big, long-term investment, and when the original trustees got it, I think it was $20 million. And we are now at $655 million. I think what we have to understand is that we have genuinely got a taonga here. This putia is so valuable. Very few other people have it. Tauranga has it with the Port of Tauranga, but most of the other regions in New Zealand would give their right arm for it. My priority is to first and foremost, protect this legacy we've been given and make sure we don't give it away unnecessarily. That's really critical. The complexity of running regardless of the charitable status question, Willie, the tension between these assets that we hold that are the cornerstone of our portfolio, generation and the port, are extremely complex assets that we have to be incredibly precious with, because if we're not careful with them, we'll lose that value really quickly. If we don't work out how we're going to deal with forestry in this region, the port is at risk. If we don't understand and we're not careful about making sure we manage our relationship well with Obiashi and our partners there and understand the capital needs of that investment, we put our investment at risk and put ourselves in the back foot. So it's quite a complicated story that we currently have. And our priority as trustees, I talked about it today at our board meeting, is to preserve your putia. First and foremost, preserve it, make sure we don't give it away. So that is at the heart of this. We can do all sorts of things if we've got it. We can do stuff all if we bugger it up. So just make sure that we keep that at the heart of it, and then we deal with the benefits that come from having that investment is the way that we look at it, and that's what we're trying to do, look after your legacy and your kids and their kids. Regardless of what we do in the meantime around charitable trust status, preserving that putia is first and foremost in our minds anyway. Just wanted to make sure, understood that it's not that easy it's not though we've got 650 million sitting in the bank that we can choose to distribute as we choose. Okay.
Well, I have a loud voice too, I guess. Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Ko tabiso toku unga, ko titirangi te maunga, ko uawa nui te awa, and Hawiti is my iwi. I'm from Slash for Cash, and basically I just wanted to say thank you to Trust Tairāwhiti for the enablement. It was a 6-month grant, but just like in our 3-year journey since Startup Tairāwhiti weekend, we have achieved a lot. So in the 6 months we've been, with the rain, with the road closure, with some of our kilns still being developed, we're able to burn 135 tons of slash. And from that, we were able to produce 69 tons of biochar. And with that biochar, we were able to produce about 49 tons, which was strictly going into the soil. And 37.5 tons of that was to Whakatane, to a kiwi fruit farm. So we are in all of the shops currently. Well, not all, but you can find us at Elgin Butchery. You can find us at Tairāwhiti Environment Center. You can find us at Bay Trade Supplies. You can also find us in Tologa Bay. We're about to get into the 4 squares. So it's picking up. And one of the greatest things that has happened this year as well, because of the grant, is we were noticed by others, by academics, by those who wanted to challenge us. But because we are East Coast proud, we stood firm and proud, and we defended ourselves. And we are one of 2 New Zealand companies. One is in Southland, the other one is us, who produce the best high-quality biochar in New Zealand. So now we are taking that to the next level. So between September this year and September next year, we will be on a mission. So if you are a landowner, a slash troubled person, reach out to us, because we want to show you how the kiln works so you appreciate it more. We understand for the farmers you want fast growth. We want to show you our fast growth biochar and our slow growth biochar. For those who are trying to amend soils, we have lots of good biochar and sheep poo manure from Whangara farms, which will amend that soil and turn it into good soil for our future, but also for crop growth and really sustaining our environment. So on behalf of the Tologa Bay Heritage Charitable Trust, the board at Slash for Cash, and the people of Tairāwhiti, ngā mihi nui.
Lyle, you can ask your tricky questions.
Remind me of that in about 2 seconds' time. I just think it's a time to reflect, to be honest, 43 years. And that balance sheet is actually fabulous. It's a really strong, it is a treasure. And as John points out, there aren't that many, some places have got a bank. Southland's got a bank, I think. And Tairāwhiti's got a bank, and they've done really well. And the lesson from that really goes back to, we didn't give away our asset back in 1993. We gave it to the community. And it may not be perfect, and some things have been changed now, which I really like the sound of that, and it will take some time. But it's, that would have literally gone. We would have all got shares. Most of us would have sold them, and it'd be owned by other people, and we own it, and it's now a big number. So you've got to preserve that. You've got to look after it. That's an obligation we have to our own community for the future. There's a part of that, though, that there's a lot of risks taken, and there's been a lot of reward, but there were risks, and we are there today. And so we need to think about that going forward. But I just want to thank the people that actually set that up and made the community was advised, and they made a really good decision, and we're all going to benefit from it because it's a very sacred thing. In terms of the future, I really like the sound of having a bit of the balance sheet is clean. It doesn't have a lot of debt now. It's got assets that hopefully will have a really good future. The port's obvious, and John's described that for the challenges that it faces. But it's a new port. It had to be done. It's a big number that's been invested in the port. Great work, and it was sweated for a long time, but that could not continue. So the challenge for us is to treat that asset with a bit of care. But also, and I understand the issues relating to forestry. There is some big things that need to happen in our whole community to do that, but we need to do that jointly. And to John's point around collaboration, that is the only way forward. We need to get everyone to work together. That's community groups where we duplicate and do the same thing. Because when you go to Wellington with one voice, it makes so much difference. It's not political. They're happy, you know. But if you go there with different views, that's really difficult. And I remember, in fact, it was a conversation with John one stage, or it might have been somebody from Wellington, saying, I'm really impressed when, this is 4 or 5 years ago, I'm really impressed dealing with people from Gisborne because they're all together. And I think, God, is that right? It didn't feel like that. But, you know, we were at that stage, and I'm not saying we moved apart, but it is really important. It makes it much easier for the politicians to deal with us. Good time to take, with such a strong balance sheet, to take a view and have a think about the future. Along a community trust that does endure and doesn't break up, I think, is something that personally I'd like to see that. I think that would be great because it can easily be taken and just spent and wasted. So keep up the good work, and there's a lot of people in here that have been on a long journey, and I'm looking through the management of the companies and previous trustees and previous directors, and they should be really proud of where we've landed in 2026.
Thanks, Lawson. Daniel. Oh, sorry.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Gillian Ward taku ingoa, ko the Women's Native Tree Project Trust taku ropu. Thank you from the Women's Native Tree Project Trust for the community grants that we've received recently. 2 grants, each of 3 years, 2021 to 23 and then 2024 to 26. These grants have put our trust onto a stable financial footing from which the trustees have been able to increase the reach of our project throughout Te Tairāwhiti, growing more native trees to give to community groups and extending the advice we give about native bush restoration. And Te Tairāwhiti needs more trees, more native forests, and much of it on a landscape scale. Although our project is a small one, we're encouraging community groups and giving them confidence to grow trees. Thank you for the shout out and our story in the annual report. And thank you too to the staff of Trust Tairāwhiti for working with us, weeding on Te Rangi and at our nursery on a wet day in March. We achieved a lot and enjoyed getting to know you while working with you. Ngā mihi mai oha.
Hi, I'm Daniel Newman, and I'm here on behalf of the Victoria Sport and Recreation Hub. And I'd first and foremost like to thank Trust Tairāwhiti for their significant investment into Victoria Domain, particularly Doug, Sarah and Audine, who are amazing in helping with that process. We've had a total of 6.9 million invested towards the redevelopment of the courts. I think everyone that's been down there has seen that it's a fantastic job that's been done. Prior to the investment, we had ageing and deteriorating courts, poor drainage, potholes and non-compliant surfaces. Today we have 9 new reconfigured and redeveloped netball courts, 3 world-class rebound ace surfaces which support 4 codes, as we saw on the photo before. And importantly, people are using it. I'm not sure if everyone's been down there, either played or had children or grandchildren played down there. I'm lucky enough to have a 10-year-old daughter that's played netball this year, and it's just a fantastic vibe down there. So well done to you guys for that significant investment. I know there's been a lot of talk in the community about what the future holds. We've got a number of stages to continue to redevelop that. So hopefully the continuing investment keeps coming. We've got 3 more courts that are going to get started hopefully this year, and then we plan to cover the courts. And of course, there's a talk of a stage 3, an indoor facility down there, which I might just pass to Stefan to talk about, since he's sitting next to me. So thank you very much to everyone, and to Doug in particular. Thank you.
That's a lesson for me. You've got to choose which seat you sit in very carefully, because I've been thrown under the bus here. Tēnā koutou, ko Stephen Chef toku ingoa, e mahi anau ki Whitiora Tairāwhiti, formerly known as Sport Gisborne Tairāwhiti. Thank you for your presentation tonight. Actually, I should Tuatahi, probably start with just saying thank you for the funding you have given to Whitiora this year. I do for our Equity and Grassroots Fund. I do want to state that we will not be keeping any of that money. That's part of a co-funding opportunity that's going to go out to our communities that need it most. But your investment just ensures we have far more reach and bang for buck with that. So thank you for that. Also want to say, yes, well done on all of the community and sporting facilities that you have invested in. You spoke to the benefits, the wide-ranging benefits really, really well. But as Dan mentioned, there is one piece of the facility jigsaw that is missing, and that is a critical piece. That is the development of an indoor multi-purpose centre. And that truly will be transformational. I think we all understand the massive wellbeing benefits. We could wax lyrical about that for ages, the social return on investment. But I do just want to reinforce the economic opportunity that it provides as well. You had in your slides there about the need for visitor spend. Cruise ships, summer tourism, that is a very small window. The development of an indoor centre will provide the ability to boost that indoor spend significantly throughout the course of the year through the hosting of tournaments, regional events and activities. It is far more likely if people want to move to our region, they will look at what amenities and services we have, and at the moment there is a glaring hole. We're the only place in the country without one. We're more likely to retain a lot of our people and our young ones with this facility and create pathways and opportunities for them and reduce that economic burden on a lot of our whānau when it comes to sending our young ones away because we just can't host anything here. So everyone often thinks about an indoor about well-being, and that is huge and that is massive, but there is that economic opportunity as well, and I can't think of many other things that tick both boxes so strongly. Thank you for the mahi that the Trust has done supporting this kaupapa to this point, but I just want to leave you by imploring that this is something absolutely worth investing in, and without the Trust support, it will not get over the line. And we finally have a window after decades of trying for this to occur. Ngā mihi.
Kia ora, Stefan. Just want to acknowledge that and that we have been working pretty closely with the Gisborne District Council and the YMCA throughout the year around what those options could look like. I mean, everyone talks about the YMCA, but that's at end of life. So, you know, we are looking at that. We talked earlier too about an event strategy. We are hosting the National Secondary Schools Touch Tournament here, which is an outdoor event. It's a week long. Those are the types of events that we want to look at attracting through a calendar of events to sort of hold that consistency throughout the year. So it's something that we're working on at the moment. A facility like that could enable that. So it's part of our thinking, but we can't really commit to anything just now. But we'll keep working on it, Steph. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just carry on from the sporting sector. My name is Flo. Just started at Poverty Bay Rugby and speaking on behalf of rugby, but also on behalf of the sporting sector. I think we heard about facilities. So first and foremost, big thank you to Trust Tairāwhiti, the trustees and everyone who backed the grandstand and supported that significant investment, but also the Classic All Blacks coming to the region and having great events. I think for our young people, sport has taught me everything in life and gave me everything. And I think we have some bigger issues to solve and acknowledge all the kōrero and some massive issues in our region. But sport is a really enabler. It teaches life skills. It sets up tamariki and rangatai for life, or can set them up. But it also brings people together. And I think that's key having a kōrero about something important at rugby or at other sporting events at Victoria Domain, or hopefully in the indoor centre in the future. So I hope we can work together in the sporting space, but also across Tairāwhiti and do well for our region. I invite you all to our next home games at Rugby Park this Saturday and next Saturday. Hope we have some good events there, but I also want to open up Rugby Park for other sporting events, including field sports, concerts, or any other kapahaka festivals or anything else. It's not a facility for rugby, it's a facility for the Gisborne community or Tairāwhiti community, and we want it to be used year-round. So Maybe a little plug from my previous employer. Also, thank you for the Surfing Nationals in January. My only question I have, we saw 100K invested in events, and we know Rhythm and Wines is going away. Is there thoughts about an increase to the events funds, and do we want to bring more smaller or bigger events to the region? Thank you.
Thanks, Flo. Yeah, so in our SOI this year, we've increased that events fund to 150,000. But I think if we were going to look at it, a calendar of events, and try and go a little bit bigger, the number would have to be bigger. But we would need to actually go partner with others. So it's not just the trust. Let's, as John said, we have a taonga there. Let's utilise that to attract other investment into the region. So whether that's central government or others, we need to partner with those around kaupapa. So that's one thing that we're thinking about, we're developing at the moment. So kia ora.
Kia ora. From sports to the next best thing, from All Blacks farming in Tairāwhiti. On behalf of Beef and Lamb New Zealand and Tairāwhiti Whenua Collective, ko Pania Kinga Hau, Mātanga Whenua Māori for the coast, Heretanga and Naitahu. A big shout out to Dougie, Ords and the team and the board. Thank you for your koha. Thank you for your koha for the East Cape Relief Day in Te Araroa a couple of Fridays ago. It was a great, John, it was a great example on how our region can come together and collaborate and pull all our pūtea together to go and support our impacted whānau up there. The message that I got was we can do it without government funding, and we did. We put on a day bringing in over 250,000 of resource, whether it was from wellbeing or fencing resource that you supplied to us, Dougie, and the team. And we were really proud of that event. So we can actually do it. I know it's a small scale, but small steps. So thank you so much.
Tēnā.
Also like to thank Dean and her team for giving us all the information we required for us to go into this investment. And so far, we have reduced our power, and we've also generated a bit of money into the Lea grid. And we've also had important decisions made from the council at our marae, and hopefully they'll be back again. So thank you very much.
Tēnā tātou te whare. A tūtai ake mihi atu ki a koe rea te tōkana ana haura ngā hotanga o tō tatahi ahi I wawahi, Derek, Rose kōrua, tēnā kōrua. A uti rea ia, te reo mihi kei te rere atu ki a koutou he te tirati. Tēnā koutou mai te waka Tairāwhiti, tēnei mātou e mihi ana ki a koutou. Hāpai tonu nei ngā tuahuatanga o te waka Tairāwhiti, ki a tipu, ki a puāwai. Tonu mai, mō te hara, mō te apōpō tēnā. Nō reira tēnā koutou. Kia ora everyone, I'm the chairperson of the Tairāwhiti Voyaging Trust, and on behalf of the Waka Tairāwhiti, the crew, we'd just like to thank Trust Tairāwhiti for the ongoing support you give us and help us to achieve our goals and aims and objectives and to build our capacity, and we're also continuing to share the knowledge of the traditional voyaging, the waka haurua voyaging with our Tairāwhiti people. Nō reira, koina noiho, tēnā koutou, mihi nui ana, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou.
Of many, so thank you very much.
Too late.
Oh, Bill. Come on, Christine, run. I'm stalling for you, man. Let's go.
Kia ora tātou, off the back of my whanaunga from Ngāti Onione, and his kōrero about Slash, Billy Maxwell, mā reikura waka ama. Yeah, we were lucky enough to receive funds from Trust Tairāwhiti as well. Last year we celebrated 40 years as the oldest club in Aotearoa, the oldest wakaama club in Aotearoa. At the same time, we were lucky enough to open Te Whare Waka o Māreikura. And it wouldn't have been possible without the help of Trust Tairāwhiti. 22 plus years ago, we started this, and last year we were able to get it to fruition, so we were very thankful. Not only does it tiaki our taonga, our waka, but it also is going to build our future, and the most important thing to us is people. And some of our tamariki will never ever know what it was like without that facility. For those of us that remember, we're very, very thankful and happy. Kia ora tātou.
Ash, you usually have a question. Must be going all right then, eh? Kapai. Any other? Oh, over the back there, yep. You're getting your steps up tonight. Let's go.
Kia ora. My name is Dr. Anastasia Mazhaeva, Eastern Institute of Technology. We want to thank you, Trust, because they support us several times. I'm not here alone. Here is another lecturers. And my students. Yes. We want to thank you to Trust. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Trust provides for us opportunity, open first drone research lab on East Coast. And it is first lab with the same education like in university. Not in Napier, not in Tauranga, here in Gisborne. And maybe most important, it's not my opinion, but opinion of my students.
Kia ora everyone, myself Varun, and I am student of EIT Gisborne Bachelor's of Computing System. And honestly, thank you Trust Tairāwhiti for supporting me through the Solar Marae project. And sorry, I'm just nervous. But through the support of Trust Tairāwhiti, we had meetings, and seeing my research lab with Anastasia Mazhaeva, it's really a great funding for future. And really thank you, Trust Tairāwhiti.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is not just only about funding, because what Trust provides for us, our students now, they have connection with industry. We have several scholarships. First, Maori scholarship for master program. It will be first time when we will have master technology program here in Gisborne. Thank you, Alex. Yes, and also they provide for us connection with industry. Today, our intern, not just only in Trust Tairāwhiti, yes? It's also in so many businesses here. Leader brand, Marae Solar Project, Maori Data in Health, yes? Thank you so much.
Just a little bit of context for that one. So the Trust supported EIT in terms of redeveloping their computer technology program, and now they are teaching drone pilots within the... distracting everyone. So they're teaching drone pilots out of EIT. They're also supporting the Marae Solar project, and so we're just trying to support our young talent and then pass them through into high-value jobs, a pipeline of talent. So thanks, Ma, for distracting everyone. Kia ora. Ka pai. You owe us a coffee. Yeah. No, you're going good. It's not a marae. It's not a iwi AGM, so you're going good. Ka pai. Yeah, no, let's not go there. Ka pai. Any other parts? I know people are hungry.
I know they're all hungry. I'm sorry. Last year...
Go on, Morris.
Kia ora. I'm Morris from Tairāwhiti Technology Trust, also known as TaiTech. And last year, our friend Polly over here said, thank you for the pute you gave us, and we'll be back for more. And I said, you know, our trust chair ought to be making this little speech, but he declined. So despite the protestations of my wife telling me I must not say anything at the meeting, I have to say thank you for the pūtea that you granted us last year, and you are already aware that we have a further application. Because we are growing and developing, we meet the needs of not the rangatahi so much, but the oldies. The ones like us, like me, with grey hair and so on. And we are expanding hugely, and we are incredibly grateful. And the people, honestly, the sense of whanaungatanga is awesome to see. It really is. So any of you who want to pop in, please come and see us at our new premises next door to where we used to be. Okay, thank you. Kia ora.
Ka pai. So for all the little viewers that don't know how to use your cell phone or a tablet or any IT, go see Tai Tech in the Kaiti Hub. They're doing a great job. They have good cups of tea and they have some good biscuits too, and Māori bread, eh? Barney.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Mareika Warmanhoven. I've been born and raised on the East Coast. Not a frequent kind of attendee at this particular AGM, but also the chair of Te Papatipu Uwe Pōhatu Takutai Kaitiaki Trust under the Ngāti Pro Deed of Agreement with the Crown. I actually want to put in a big fat plug for Slash for Cash. As somebody that's been raised at Reperua Beach and that consequently is one this side of the Waipu River, which gets hammered with debris. And as a child, never saw that. So I'm also got an environmental science background, so I like biodiversity. Not a lot of that going on. But I just recall our new chair also talking about the seat you hold in the Crown Regional with the 2 billion something kind of fund sitting there. And I want to pull it back to the inquiry of the Slash after Cyclone Gabriel, so a Crown inquiry, and probably pull it back further to what was the East Coast Crown forestry projects, and pull it back to some kind of obligation on the Crown to actually come to the party. So I'm probably tapping into your other hat as well as this hat for what's an innovative way we could tap into that those billions as well, in what was an inquiry essentially, but not much has come out of that inquiry. And what I'm seeing here is somebody who's come from another country to clean up our mess with the solutions and has to apply for funding to do it, people. So while I'm clapping, I'm going, this is not right. So I want to put a plug in that there's a bit of investment into this clean-up project, and it's training people. And now it has a product that's bringing back money as well. So it deserves an investment and into training, into everything that it represents, which is a big fat problem in our region. So, you know, there needs to be a better collaboration and some kind of responsibility put on the forestry sector and all the sectors, and us, and where our rates get prioritised as well. Yeah, so that's a big fat plug I would like to put in. And the trust I chair is the Foreshore Seedbed Trust also, so we hold a customary title in the areas specific for our 7 hapu. And we are quite interested in restoration projects along the coastline as well, with our probably most erodible soils in the world. Justifies some prioritising of funding into these areas that my 20-something years of tribal governance haven't seen a lot of investment from where our rates are put anyway. So and our taxes. So, ngā mihi, and thank you for listening.
Ka pai, Marika. We'll take that as endorsement for cash for slash for cash. We did actually present that story around ECFP and the inquiry to Minister Willis this morning, so we actually collectively spoke to her about that. So coincidence, perhaps. Anyway, it's front of mind for ministers, and the council and others are working through it. So, yeah, kia ora.
I think John's on 15 days. I'm probably off maybe 45 days. I just wanted to stand up and thank the team from me for the last 3 years and all the mahi that's kind of gone into everything. As you look around the room and you listen to all the work that the trustees have done, there's a whole lot that happens in the background that we're not all kind of aware of. And so I want to acknowledge Tā, Derek and Lady Rose for all of their support and all the fellow trustees that were here. I didn't know whether I was going to stand up and say anything, and there's probably some things that I won't say, but I definitely will be sitting alongside Willie next year asking for some answers if things aren't changing. I'm also part of this community, so I'm the CEO for Mangatu Blocks Incorporation. I'm also the Tairāwhiti Whenua Charitable Trust trustee. Pania, shout out to Pania, she's gone now. She's there. So yeah, just wanted, I wasn't going to stand up, but there's a lot of people as I walk around the room that supported us over that 3 years and got through a lot, some pretty challenging times, and grown to be really their friendships now, a lot of with staff and things like that. And so I just wanted to acknowledge them and my fellow trustees. But we will be here next year, and we will be along the way holding you to account. And there are people in the room that know what goes on behind closed doors, and we will be making sure that that's brought to light. So putting it out there. Ngā mihi, wanted to say thank you. Ka pai. Kia ora.
Ka pai. All right. Doesn't feel like there's any more burning questions out there, so we'll finish off with a couple of little notes here. So we received a note this afternoon from Dana Kirkpatrick, and just she wanted this read out this evening. So I applaud the Trust on its commitment to the community and to the work it's leading on economic growth and regional opportunity. This region has so much to be proud of, and the Trust is integral to a collaborative regional leadership approach that it is so vital to the future we want to build for generations to come. Thank you for your hard work to date and for all you're about to do. Ka pai. And just one more, this is another one, that apology that came in, but it's quite long, but I've tried to shorten it. Got it at 3:48 this afternoon. This is from Amber and Mike Clark from Touchwood Fishing Charters. Nearly 6 years ago, Mike and I came to Gisborne to start our new life as charter boat operators. We knew no one, we had zero experience, and I had literally been on a boat 5 times in my life. Yet here we are. Our first few years were fraught with major mechanical issues that left us with 12 weeks of zero income. We survived solely because of the incredible backing of the people of Tairāwhiti. 2 summers ago, after having to cancel 28 out of our 33 trips due to the weather, we hit a wall. Trips. We were actively looking to relocate our boat to Napier. We didn't want to go, we love Tairāwhiti. So we decided to give it 2 more years, but we needed help. A passenger asked, had I approached Trust Tairāwhiti? Sending that first email to the Trust was one of the best things we have ever done for our business. We couldn't believe how quickly your team put things in place. You connected us with our business mentor, which led directly to refinancing, rebranding, and upgrading vital parts of our boat. You funded a website and a professional photo shoot. You'll see some of those photos of kids catching fish in the book tonight. Because of those foundations, the last 18 months have seen a continuous flow of new and returning passengers from here, Wairoa and Napier. But the most valuable thing Trust Tairāwhiti has given us isn't just financial, it is the knowledge that we have your support. From our very first interaction, it was clear that you genuinely care about the development of Tairāwhiti, its businesses, and its collective wairua. We have always known from very early on that many in Tairāwhiti had our backs. Thank you so much for your guidance, your belief in us, and for keeping us in Gisborne. Ngā mihi nui. So on that, I'm going to ask Papa D to come up and finish off our evening with a nice karakia. Help yourselves to nibbles, any nibbles that are left over in the back and any drinks. There's a few bouncers there with tate t-shirts on, just knock them over like the All Blacks would. Ka pai, over to you.
Wena kia ora tātou, pai hoki tā tātou hui tēnei pō. Nā ke te kaupapa. Iri mai nai te pātu o tō tātou whare. He hala te kaupapa o te tarati nei, ko tātou te kaupapa. Ka moe tātou i a tātou kauputa koe, i ko tātou. I kia kātuna rā tātou tēnei rā. Te whiri ko te tapu, haere tua, haere waho, haere te wai ko patapata e rere nei ki hoki mai au, ko te wai mahuru, klau noa, klau ora, klau noa, haumi e, hui e, tahi ki e. Drive safely home, people. There's a storm coming.